11th, 2025. Margot, please take it away.
I, Margot G.K., the Town Clerk of the Town of Morristown, do hereby state that it is 7:30 p.m. on Tuesday, March 11th, 2025, and that this regular meeting is being held in Council Chambers, 200 South Street, Morristown, New Jersey. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided according to law by written notice to the Morristown Daily Record, the official newspaper of the Town of Morristown, and to the Newark Star Ledger, both more than 48 hours ago. Notice was also posted on the bulletin board at Town Hall and filed with the office of the Town Clerk of the Town of Morristown. I do further state that I shall enter into the minutes of this meeting a statement that such notice was furnished as particularly described by me in this public announcement. I'll take a roll call. Councilwoman Foster.
Here.
Councilman Iannicone.
Here.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Here.
Councilman Polipchuk.
Here.
Councilman Russo.
Here.
Councilman Silva
Is running late.
will be here shortly. Council President Umbriak.
Here.
Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Let's pause for a moment of silence, please. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay, we have 11 items on the consent agenda this evening. Due to council attendance, the first 6 items I will break out into 4 separate roll calls. If I could please have a motion to adopt consent agenda item number 1, minutes of the January 22nd Town Council Special Meeting, Local ABC Board.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Okay, Councilwoman Foster, you will abstain? Okay, Councilman Iannicone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay?
Yes.
Councilman Polipchuk?
Yes.
Councilman Russo?
Yes.
And Council President Umbriak?
Yes.
Motion carries. I would ask for a motion for consent agenda item number 2, approval of minutes for the February 13th redevelopment entity meeting.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Councilwoman Foster?
Yes.
You will abstain?
Oh, abstain?
So-
Two?
Sorry. Councilman Iannicone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay?
Yes.
Councilman Polipchuk?
Yes.
Councilman Russo?
Yes.
Council President Umbriak?
Yes.
Okay, next I would ask for a motion to approve consent agenda items number 3 and 4 for the 2 sets of meeting minutes on February 18th.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Councilwoman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannicone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay?
Yes.
Councilman Polipchuk?
Yes.
Councilman Russo?
Yes.
Council President Umbriak?
Yes.
Motion carries. And then finally, for the minutes, consent agenda items number 5 and 6, the meeting minutes of February 25th.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Councilwoman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannicone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay?
Yes.
Councilman Polipchuk?
Abstain.
Councilman Russo?
Yes.
And Council President Umbriak?
Yes.
Motion carries. Finally, unless a member of council would like to pull out any item for separate consideration, I would ask for a motion to adopt consent agenda items number 7 through 11.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Councilwoman Foster?
Yes.
Councilman Iannicone?
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay?
Yes.
Councilman Polipchuk?
Yes.
Councilman Russo?
Yes.
Council President Umbriak?
Yes.
Let the record show that Councilman Silver has arrived at 7:34. Okay, at this time, I'll open the floor for a public hearing on any matter. When called upon, please approach the microphone, state your name and address, and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Be advised that any derogatory comments targeting members of council and/or administration may be ruled out of order.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if this is the right time, but
This is a public session, so,
public session
yeah.
just for announcements.
Yep.
events.
You can state your name and your address, and then you have 3 minutes.
All right, awesome. Hi, my name is Andre Vasichuk. My address is 49 Highland Ave, Morristown, New Jersey.
Can you kindly spell your last name, sir?
Yes, V as in Victor, ASIYSCHOUK.
Thank you.
And first name, it's not like spelled like Andre.
Oh.
ANDRIY.
Thank you.
Yep. So I just wanted to inform the Morristown community of a fundraiser event we're having this Saturday at 5 p.m. It's a nonprofit concert being held by to Piano Journey, who's partnering up with our nonprofit organization, Friends of Trivandrum. They're a mother-son duo who play the piano beautifully. She was a teenage international piano champion. She played at Juilliard and famous halls all over the U.S. And they partner up with small organizations to help them raise money in things that they believe in. And since the start of their mission, they've raised over millions of dollars and helped numerous organizations. They're helping our organization this Saturday to raise money for eye reconstructive surgeries in Ukraine, as well as holding clinics for all the psychologists that are working with the soldiers in the front lines and anyone else affected by the war in Ukraine. Our mission is to hopefully get more people to help, so it's not just specialists. It could be your neighbors, your family that know how to deal with certain traumas that you went through. So it's work that we believe that gives back to the people, gives them hope, and I just want to let the community know of the concert, and I have flyers I could leave, or
Yep, we'll take them.
or if you guys could post it online. The link here takes you to the page with all our information of our story, how our organization got started, our past mission trips, and the donation and ticket page for our concert this Saturday.
Wonderful.
I'll take that, sir.
Okay.
Where is the concert?
Sorry. It's at the St. Peter's Episcopal Church,
Oh,
right
sure.
across from the Mayo
Yep.
Theater.
Thank you. The clerk will take the pamphlets.
I didn't know how many copies to print, but if you need more and information to the link or anything, I can stop by
Okay, great.
or send you an email.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you coming by.
Thank you. I appreciate the support. I hope to see you guys there.
That's Bob Iannacone. Yeah, take a picture. There you go. Smile, Bob.
I didn't get your face. It's too early, it's too early.
Is there anyone else from the public that would like? Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Amelia Nunn, I'm at 14 Erskine Drive.
I'm sorry, can you please?
Amelia, Amelia, last name Nunn.
Thank you.
I just want to level set so you guys know, I live right behind Lidgerwood Park. Lidgerwood Park has a number of pickleball courts in place. You guys put up, or the town put up, sound deadening plastic to sort of make it a little bit quieter for us. I think if you were to measure the sound noise before that plastic went up, our houses are really impacted by the noise of pickleball. Pickleball far more than tennis, just from the sound of the balls. There's 3 issues that I want to voice. One is public safety. So since that plastic has been put up, we have noticed people sleeping behind the courts, people urinating behind the courts, and I've had a couple issues walking dogs because when you're walking on the pathway, you can't see who's coming right at the corner of that pathway. So that's issue number 1. Issue number 2 is the locking and unlocking of the courts. It's not really done in a reliable manner. When it is done, sometimes the courts inside don't get locked, so the pickleball players play on the tennis courts, which is the 3rd issue. There's 3 courts for pickleball. There are often overflow games that are played on the tennis courts, which negates the sound deadening issue. And really just hoping for some light at the end of the tunnel to see if you guys have plans to move these courts, what we can do as citizens to move those plans forward.
Thank you. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Stella, Stella, last name Sue, Su. Address is 10 Erskine Drive, Morristown, New Jersey. I'm Amelia's next door neighbor, and I second the issues that she raised. I also want to point out that there are young children and elderly in our neighborhood, and it causes a lot of noise pollution that it is becoming a nightmare, a headache in the community. So I understand that there are plans to move the courts, so we would just like to know where we are on that, the updates on that, and what we can do to help expedite the process. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Christine Conti Collins, and I live at 40 West Park Place, Unit 702, on the top floor of the condo building. And I don't know to the extent that you can accomplish anything on your own, but I would certainly encourage you to work with Chief Darnell in the police department, because you know, when you live right downtown in the middle of it all, you get the good, the bad, and the ugly. And having grown up in Brooklyn, New York, I don't expect not to hear horns beeping. I mean, that's life. Okay, however, I will say this. The double parking and the triple parking for people getting out to go into Starbucks is a real hazard. That's a danger zone. And people should not be permitted to do it. Now, I don't know if the chief can poke somebody there and make them move or give them tickets, but we have to do something about it before somebody gets seriously hurt. And I'm sure you have all heard, I mean, traffic is a challenge in Morristown at best. At worst, it's compounded by people who don't obey signs. And I don't know if the bulk of the population is just totally illiterate. But the problem is, it's there. So perhaps you might address it with the chief and see what can be done, especially with that double-in parking. And, you know, you have cars coming off the Hart Street trying to turn, I mean Market Street trying to turn, and then you have this flood of traffic coming out of Mendham, and I mean, it really is scary. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Christine.
you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Christine.
Anyone else from the public? No? All right, I'll close public session. Council responses to public hearing comments.
Council President?
Yes, sir.
First to Stella and Amelia in the back there. Obviously, I'm on that email. I'm the Fourth Ward Councilman, so I represent Erskine. And I know the town administrator, business administrator has been on those emails as well. And please correct me if I'm wrong with anything, but I know there is like some, you know, they're trying some, obviously it's a process to move those courts. So bear with us. Keep sending those emails to us. Feel free to, I don't know if you have my cell phone, but I'm happy to share it with you as well. So again, we apologize about that, but it is something, to my knowledge, the town is working on, and we'll get that done hopefully sooner rather than later. Christina, my neighbor, thanks for showing up tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you for the work you're doing.
We try our best. Thank you.
Thank you.
But
I'm happy to address once the council
Yeah,
has
yeah.
their comments.
actually on the issue of people maybe sleeping on the tennis courts, stick around tonight because we're having a presentation on homelessness and there may be some relevancy between the two topics. Second thing, you'll address the effectiveness of what we put up for the sound barriers. Okay, you will. I can.
Yes,
She has
she
the
will.
answer.
She will.
You have the answer. We'll get there eventually. But I have to agree with Christine with reference to the Starbucks corner. That is a tough corner.
Right.
In fact, I'm not the best of drivers, quite frankly. But it's a very challenging corner.
Yeah.
And maybe there is something we can do and support the chief. Maybe make that a no parking completely right in that little stretch so people can
Right.
pull up, stop, and go. Because what it is people stopping, running in. Maybe if you took those spots and made those spots just like 3-minute spots. You know,
Right.
go in, grab your coffee, get out, you know, or something like that. But we do have to do something with that.
Absolutely.
And in fact, one of the topics that we have to revisit eventually will be the whole issue about the trucks, the food trucks. You know what I mean? Because you do get a lot of traffic on that particular stretch of the park.
Right.
You know, it's probably the most traveled section of the park, so see what we can do.
Agreed. Any other comments?
Yes. That corner is very crowded, and it doesn't start at Starbucks, but
It goes
by the other restaurants that have delivery. So the delivery people, they Uber Eat, they start double parking, and then comes another one, and while they come in and grab the food, then start stacking the cars, so I think it's an
Right,
issue.
right, agreed.
Not to belabor the point too, but we live it too. We get it. It goes down Washington.
It sure
further.
does.
So.
It goes down Morris as well.
Yeah, so those spots are already 15-minute parking.
Are they 15 minutes already?
Yeah.
Well,
I
maybe 3
I
minutes.
pull into Starbucks, so yeah.
15 minutes actually going into the store, enjoying your coffee. You know,
Right,
so-
right, in 15 minutes, sure.
But, maybe Jillian, you can speak to it, but I remember in the mayor's address that he did speak to having a traffic division. So if you can expand upon that.
Sure.
I think that's all the comments, Julian.
Okay. All right. I'll tackle the last thing first, and then I'll get back to pickleball.
Thank you.
Ms. Conti Collins, the chief is in the back. He heard your comments, and we will address probably adding extra cones to that loading zone that's right on the corner, and also make sure that patrol is monitoring that.
Just so the record is clear.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, you can't speak right now.
Right.
It's the business administrator's turn
What
to
I can
speak.
do is after.
Ma'am,
if
please
you're-
have a seat.
If you're willing to stay after the meeting, I'm happy to have a further
They
conversation
do
with you.
a great job.
Thank you. I
Thank you.
appreciate that. And we've also been looking at ways to, if there are ways that we can reasonably modify parking to maybe add short-term parking to accommodate the Uber drivers and things like that without unduly removing parking for other shoppers. So it's kind of a delicate balance. That's something I have the public safety director and the police department looking at to see if there may be some ways to accommodate that as well. That is on that. Pickleball. That goes in the no good deed goes unpunished file. We did our best to try to invest as much as we could to make pickleball available and to meet the demand. However, even with the best technology we could find, it still doesn't do what we expected it to do. So we are planning through this year's capital program to relocate the pickleball courts to another part of town that does not have residential property. But what that means is we actually have to build brand new courts, which will take time. It's not something we can do overnight. But it is something that we already have in the works. Engineering has already been working on starting to develop plans and develop budgets and things like that. So that will take time. The quickest we can likely do construction would be in the fall, pending, obviously, the budget being adopted, and then all the processes that require getting the contractors in place, the bidding process, et cetera. So
Jillian, what's the location? You obviously have some location.
I'm
in mind.
going to talk about that a little bit later, just because I want to talk about it in the context of broader.
Because it's a dense town we have.
It is.
It's a very dense town, and I can't think of any park that's not next to a residential property.
I know.
But what I strongly encouraged before, and I think we should continue to encourage, is don't always feel like we have to do everything ourselves, i.e. where the Ginty pickleball courts are, they're away from everybody. They're, they're by the pool, and then you've got the stream, you've got
Right.
the park, you've got the sewer plant back there in Morris Township. They're kind of isolated to the degree, because let's face it, our recreation is integrated totally with Morris Township anyway. And a lot of the people we know and our kids go to school with, that we play pickleball with, live in the township. So maybe we talk with the township about how do we maybe build more pickleball courts together and put them in a spot that is kind of not near any residences, so we don't have to revisit this issue again.
Right.
Because we spent a lot of money on these courts, too. And so,
Well, we tried to do as economically as possible by repurposing courts that already existed. That clearly is not going to work in the long term, so we're going to find an alternative. I will say, I'm certainly open to exploring anything, that would make sense. I do know that the township's courts have seen significant interest, and I think part of the reason why they have set their fees the way that they have, with substantially higher fees for non-residents, is because they do have such demand for those courts.
yeah.
And I know that we heard a lot of feedback from our residents who are looking to have pickleball in town, partly because they want something that's available for our residents at a reasonable cost. So,
Maybe we look partner, because, for example, that property on Columbia Turnpike by the new stadium is it's all there.
sure.
There's a lot of land in Morris Township.
That's true. I know that there's also some private pickleball courts, I think they were opening over on Hanover Avenue by where the,
Next to Walmart.
yes, next to
Oh, yeah.
Walmart.
Indoor pickleball.
So there are resources, but, you know, if it's, I believe that's a private facility, so it's not going to be as cost-effective as a public facility. But, you know, I am only sort of talking about this as a preview because we're getting a lot of inquiries, but I'll give more detailed information when we have our capital budget discussion in a few weeks.
And Jillian, in terms of the safety concerns that were brought up, in terms of public urination, people sleeping,
Yes, the police department is well aware of it, and they are monitoring it and making sure that, you know, if there's any nefarious activity, that it's addressed.
okay.
We do our best to try to open and close the courts on time. There's a series of systems that are in place to make that happen. Obviously, we don't have 24-hour staff, with the exception of the police department, so we do our best with the staff we have. And, you know, we try to do that as consistently as possible.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you for everybody coming out and sharing your concerns. We'll stay with you, Jillian, and the report of the mayor and town officials.
All right, so I will start since the mayor is out of town enjoying a little bit of relaxation before the parade on Saturday. So I will give his event report. So the most recent events we had Tuesday, March 4th, was Morristown on Stage Live at MPAC. Congratulations to all the winners. I understand it was a great event as always. And then Saturday, March 1st, was a grand opening ceremony for Face Aesthetic Artistry and Institute at 70 Speedwell Avenue. So if anyone's interested in in a facial, that's a great place to go, sure. Upcoming events, of course, this Saturday, from starting at noon, is the annual St. Patrick's Day Parade. That's always a great event. Come on out. And then on Saturday, March 22nd, from 8:30 to noon, we have the Whippany River Watershed Action Committee's annual Whippany River Spring Cleanup. Meet at 59 Spring Street in the lot across from Bethel AME. Any questions can be addressed to by email to administrator@wrwac.org. And then at 10 a.m., also on Saturday the 22nd, the Morristown Environmental Commission Adopt a Spot is doing a cleanup at Morristown Train Station at 1 Lackawanna Place. And again, that's at 10 a.m. on the 22nd. That's it.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right, we're going to move to other presentations and reports. We have Michael Callahan, Director of the Office of Homelessness Prevention, NJ Department of Community Affairs.
Hey, what's going on, Council?
Good evening. Thanks for being here.
No worries. Great. So first, really want to thank all of you, particularly your business administrator, the mayor, and Chief's back there, right? There you go. Right. Recently, we reached out in order to engage, particularly around what is quickly becoming a homelessness crisis in Morristown, right? And as part of that, right, we have the nascent strings of a strategy, but also we'll be deploying additional state resources to help resolve some of the ongoing issues, right? Importantly, this is the first step from a public perspective, right, to engage with all of you, right? All right, we don't have a slide deck or anything tonight, but there will be as we move forward throughout this process, right? One of the things as we work towards reducing unsheltered homelessness in Morristown, right, is that really working towards and leveraging some of the other models and successes that we've had throughout the state in the past 3 years, right? So in Ocean County, we've resolved encampments over the past year that are north of 600 people, right? And particularly in suburbs and more affluent middle-class areas, right? We obviously know there's competing interests here in Morristown, but particularly we also know that there's a population census that's dominated by both high acuity and high need, right? That being said, right, I don't want to toss from the state's perspective, we don't want to toss any shade on the work that the county's doing, the work that's already been done, right, by the nonprofit ecosystem, the work that's already been done by folks, right? But what we will be doing and engaging with the municipality directly with your executive branch team is a 30, 60, 90-day sprint, right? That is inclusive of everything from working with them and what the municipal court and from a diversionary aspect looks through to also deploying more 24-hour street outreach workers, right? To work with, in concert with the police so that it is not incumbent and the job of law enforcement to help resolve homelessness, right? So that they are a partner in that effort, but not so we are turning police officers into social workers, right? Similarly, we will also be deploying some additional resources for emergency sheltering to help quickly resolve things, but also for permanent housing, right? And having that permanent housing be tied to supportive case management and some other adjacent services towards that, right? So that being said, right, being here, I'd really like to just understand from the council's perspective, what are kind of the near-term expectations, right? And just what you would like to see from a homelessness perspective and any other concerns you have.
Michael, just to start off,
Sure.
I think the reason why we actually asked for some information on what we were doing with reference to homelessness was that a few weeks ago, and council doesn't know how it got here, but there was a resolution, an ordinance proposed with reference to limitations on quote-unquote
Sure.
camping. And we were concerned about that. So it got pulled and appropriately got pulled, and thank you for being here today. If I was going to start giving you some guidelines, because I've worked with your agency before and with the counties of Essex and Hudson and others, and the county here has been very helpful. I've called the county myself on the train station. Jillian and I were working with them on basically helping the people at the train station get out of this train station. And the county did have some very good resources. What I found, what was strong about Morris County, similar to probably Bergen County, was the centralization of homeless services. Homelessness is a Morristown problem, but more appropriately, it's a county problem. Because the folks, when they're homeless, they tend to come to the more urban area. They come where the resources are. And, you know, and we are a welcoming community, okay? Just some things that we're concerned about. One, we just finished passing support for the fair and welcoming, the directives for the
Immigration trust.
Immigration trust, okay? We want to make sure that all those social services continue to be provided without interfering or compromising anybody's fear about their residency status.
Gotcha.
Okay, that's the one thing. The second thing is you know, 75% of homelessness is drugs and health. It's drugs and behavioral health issues. And you made a comment, you don't want to turn the police into social workers. I tend to agree with you. But probably what is necessary out on the streets are social workers.
Sure, so that's what we will be deploying.
Exactly. And it's people that can connect people with the behavioral health services and the mental health services. And
Sure, it'll not only be that, it'll also be respite care, intensive crisis case management.
But I'm going to give you one big advice.
Sure.
I would do the best you can centralizing all the efforts at the county level. Who does it tremendously well, and I've been to the site, is Bergen County. Bergen County, you do not get a grant in Bergen County unless you go through the homelessness czar. So all the services are coordinated, okay? And everybody knows where every dime is going, so you're not spending administrative dollars on services that should be provided for homeless services, clinical services, and what have you. So I would actually, rather than using Morristown or yourself as the steering agent, use the county. Because who should be paying for this too? The state. I'm glad the state helps, but it's a county issue. It's not a town issue. This is a county issue. And it should be on the county budget. I'll say it. It should be on the county budget, not this town budget. You know, because it's a county issue. It just happens to be who we and Dover and Chester, I think those are the three towns, tend to have the homeless issues, and you know, so work with the county too, please, primarily with the county.
Gotcha.
And try to centralize the resources as much as you can, because I've also worked in areas where I've seen where they, you know, giving out a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit everywhere, and you end up spending all the money on administrative costs.
Yes. There's some structural issues here in the larger continuum, but then.
But I think the county's done a really good start.
Oh, yeah,
Very
they
good
have.
start. And unlike other counties, we do have room up on Hanover Avenue. They have a beautiful shelter there. The reason why we stopped the camping ordinances, all of us did, was our concern was, you know, before you can even consider that, you have to ask yourself, do they have the services, and what's the access to the services?
Yep.
And that's really what we were looking for definition of. How do people access the services, and how do the police access the services, and how do you get people to the point where they can get actual care. Thanks for listening.
Of course.
I think you've already had some great conversations, to my understanding, with the administration, so I want to thank you for coming and speaking and providing the much-needed resources. As you know, we have a lot of homeless people in Morristown and Morris County that just don't have access to the resources. So to Bob's point, just making sure that they have access to the resources, the most appropriate resources, whether it's social work, whether it's they need help with their doctors, with medication, whatever it might be, counseling. So we appreciate you being here. We appreciate the state's efforts to come and help us. I think it's a great partnership, and I look forward to seeing what we can do.
Great. Awesome.
Yes. I think that this council considers very important to have solutions that alleviate the tension between compassion and the issues caused by homelessness or homeless people, especially those that are addicted to drugs and substances. And as you were asking for expectations, I think for me, one expectation will be that maybe the state will partner with a non-for-profit organization to have a rehab program. That will be something very important because that will alleviate. I don't know, I see no real response on that, but I think that I worked in New York many years ago, and we partnered with a rehab program that used the shelter as the first step to take the person there. Once the person was interviewed there, then it was taken to this rehab program that was 6 to 18 months. And the rate of success of recovery was 80%. At the end of the journey, these people came out with a trade or any other training that allowed them to work and to get on their feet. So I think that one of the most important things right now is that.
Thank you. Any other comments from council? Julian?
I just want to reiterate our thanks to Michael for coming out and working with us. We certainly aren't trying to supplant the existing resources that we already have in place, but we're looking to both fill the gaps as well as to just figure out a way to be as nimble as possible. As much as this is a regional problem, this issue impacts us most directly because we are the county seat. We have all these services. And so there's sort of just natural things that happen at that intersection. Our goal has always been to be compassionate with all of our residents in whatever way is necessary. And, I'm grateful that Michael has reached out to us and is working with us and bringing us and partnering together with us to put us in touch with the appropriate resources and kind of broadening our bandwidth. So I look forward to continuing to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I also want to send a special shout out to the police department and particularly Lieutenant Oakley, who's really taken the lead on working on this initiative with us.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
Look
good
forward to working with you.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to move to council liaison reports. Councilwoman Lindsay? No report. Councilman Pilipchuk?
Sure. So the next Morristown Partnership meeting is tomorrow morning. But some developments since my last report. Restaurant Week is coming out in April 21st to 25th. So keep an eye on that. They're going to be doing some new things that sound to be pretty exciting. I don't know if I can share them publicly yet, but keep an eye out for it. It's going to be really good. New downtown guides have been printed and are being distributed. So keep an eye out for that as well. Big news is the elections for the partnership board. If anyone is interested, the deadline for nominations is 5 p.m. on Friday, March 21st. You can get all the information for all the nominations at morristown-nj.org. It's on their website. If you have any questions, send an email to board@morristown-nj.org. If you can't find any of that, please feel free to email me. You can find my email address on the town website, and I'll be happy to help you. So.
Perfect. Councilman Russo?
Very quiet on the planning board. We may or may not even have a meeting this month, so nothing to report.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Councilman Silva?
Next meeting will be for MPA will be next Wednesday, 19th.
Okay. Just news for me to share, I guess on a personal level, the new building on Morris Street, the Santa Fe building, will be opening on March 24th. So it's not a completed building. We'll be occupying only a few floors as they continue to build it out. The restaurant on the first floor will not be open, but look forward to moving from Bridgewater to Morristown.
Nice.
Okay, Margot, let's move to regular business, please.
Okay, we don't have any ordinances for introduction. We do have 3 ordinances for public hearing and adoption. Ordinance number O-4-2025, ordinance amending Chapter 30 of the Code of the Town of Morristown entitled Land Development, Part 5, Environmental Regulations, creating Article 5F, privately owned salt storage.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-4-2025.
Second?
At this time, I'll open the floor for a public hearing on ordinance O-4-2025 only. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from council? On the adoption of ordinance O-4-2025, Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbreak.
Yes.
Ordinance 4-2025 is adopted. Ordinance number O-5-2025, ordinance of the Town of Morristown amending and supplementing Chapter 30 Land Development, Section 5, Environmental Regulations, by replacing subsection 5C, Stormwater Control Regulations.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-5-2025.
Second?
At this time, I'll open the floor for a public hearing on ordinance O-5-2025 only. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from council? On the adoption of ordinance O-5-2025, Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbreak.
Yes.
Ordinance 5-2025 is adopted. Ordinance number O-9-2025, ordinance approving and adopting the 25 Market Street redevelopment plan for the lands comprising, excuse me, Block 6001, Lot 8.01, on the official tax map of the town of Morristown, County of Morris, State of New Jersey, pursuant to the local redevelopment and housing law NJSA 48:12A-1 et sec.
I will make a motion to adopt ordinance number O-9-2025.
Second?
At this time, I open the floor for a public hearing on ordinance O-9-2025 only. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from council?
Councilman Polypchuk.
Just one, Mr. Mattel, I was not here for the introduction, but I reviewed all the materials. I feel comfortable voting on it. I just want to make sure.
You absolutely can vote.
Perfect. Councilman Russo.
Thank you. I will have to abstain on this because I live at a resident at 40 West Park Place, so I'm within 200 feet of this project. So that's the only reason why I'm abstaining from this.
Thank you.
Okay, on the adoption of ordinance O-9-2025, Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo
Abstain.
abstains. Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbreak.
Yes.
Ordinance 9-2025 is adopted. There are 2 resolutions for adoption this evening. Do you want to consider them together, or do you want them separate?
Does anybody want to pull any? No? Let's consider them together, please.
Okay, you making that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
On the adoption of resolution numbers R-54 and R-55-2025, Councilwoman Foster.
Yes.
Councilman Iannacone.
Yes.
Councilwoman Lindsay.
Yes.
Councilman Polypchuk.
Yes.
Councilman Russo.
Yes.
Councilman Silva.
Yes.
Council President Umbreak.
Yes.
Motion carries. Those resolutions are adopted.
Thank you. We have no unfinished old business. We have no new business. I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Nice work, everyone. Thanks, Margot.
Thank you, Margot.
All good.